Hello, people. Blues up against the Tigers. Hey, morning, Mark. It's evening here, but good morning. How's it going? Are the Blues going to win? Are the Blues going to win? That is always the question. We will see. Not hold my breath, but if the Chiefs can beat the Crusaders, then maybe the Blues can win away from home. Just gone midnight there. Oh, that's about as morning as it gets. Shouldn't you be asleep? This game may put you to sleep if you're watching it. I'm not sure who the broadcaster is in the US. Kia ora, how about that Chiefs game? Yeah, man, that was pretty intense stuff. Pretty intense. The Chiefs looking pretty good. What do I think of the previous game? It was a good game. I think this game is probably not going to live up to that game. Yeah. Morning, Jonathan. Morning, I mean evening. Mark said morning, so I'm in morning mode. How's it going, Jonathan? In Seattle. Yes. The Seawolves season is getting underway soon, and I actually know about that now because I've actually started watching following some of the MLR stuff. I've improved my knowledge about the MLR about 200-fold in the matter of like 3 weeks. That Blues jersey, the away one, is better than that Crusaders one in the last game. That Crusaders one was atrocious. And man, there's nobody at this game, huh? I wonder if we'll get more people in this stream than people at that game, man. That's pretty sparse. Scotland and England. Yeah, that game's not too far away. Blues will get better. Been thinking about that for a long time. Still never seems to happen. Hope the Blues win. Well, I picked the Waratahs in Super Brew, figuring because I was so gutted last week because I picked the Blues to win, and then I obviously wanted the Blues to win as a Blues fan. So I decided to pick the Waratahs. So at least if the Blues lose, then I get something out of the game. So, but yes, I also hope the Blues win. They could certainly use a win. Hey, Mr. East Auckland. That Chiefs Crusaders game was pretty bloody good, man. Yeah, right. I do worry that this game may be kind of poor in comparison, but we'll see how it goes. There's not that many people there to watch it in case it doesn't go well. Best way to watch it. I'm watching it on Sky. I'm not sure the way to stream it, because I don't think there's any places that do it free. They're all kind of paid. Scotland and England score. I think I picked Scotland for that one, to be honest. I picked Scotland by like 5 or something. No one went to the game kind of expected. Up the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, unless there's people sitting on the same side as the camera. Yeah, there's not many people sitting on the side of the ground facing the camera. Blues win off X Factor. I will take the Blues win off like solid set piece. I'll take it off X Factor. I'll take any kind of win. I'll take it ugly as long as they win. Blues' performance has been disgusting in recent years because they've been unlucky with. Yeah, the schedule's never been the best, but still, I think I've watched enough Blues games to say it's more than just their fixtures, eh? Good teams always find a way. Chiefs, they were good, bro. They were very good. The Crusaders looked a bit rattled in that second half, eh? The Chiefs kind of put them under the pump. So that bodes well for the competition, I think. The Crusaders need a bit of a challenge. Now we just need someone to beat them at home. Blues have given away a penalty. 3 minutes gone. When did the Blues last win Super Rugby? I believe that was 2003. I was what? What was I doing in 2003? University student? Must have been. Seems like a long time ago now, man. Looks like people in Newcastle are not interested. And Cruden did have another bloody good game. Yeah, right, sir. People in Newcastle are not interested in Super Rugby. That looks to be true. There's bugger all people there, man. I'm just pouring a beer. Excuse me for a second. McKenzie had a great return. He did look pretty sharp. I mean, that pass behind the back was kind of ridiculous. I don't think he needed to do that. I don't think it drew any extra players or anything. But, yeah, it was certainly a bit of flair from DMAC. When I was born, they last won. Yeah. Blues has always been a decent team on paper. They don't have that winning mentality. It's true, man. They have that team that can go into the opposition 22, go 15 phases, and you know they're going to stuff it up. Lions or Reds in Super Brew. Jeez, I can't even remember which I picked. I went a bit outlandish with my picks this week, and none of them have paid off so far. I'm none from 3. Yeah. Who did I pick? Come on, Blues. I picked the Reds by 1. Cheers, guys. Tars just kicked the ball. Duffy touched it, so it's a Tars line out throw, like 6 meters out. Thoughts on the Falau saga? I've been following it a little bit. I mean, I've always liked the guy as a rugby player, but I kind of wish he'd just be quiet and play rugby. But so he's going to play league. Chiefs. Yeah, man, I'd be pretty happy if I was a Chiefs fan right now. I'm happy on behalf of the Chiefs because you got to like seeing the Crusaders get beaten, kind of, right? Even as a Crusaders fan, you must be like, man, that's something different. Getting beaten. Morning, Adam. Wow, is that the crowd? Yeah, we're at 35 people on the stream, which is not that far away from how many people are at this game. But you got to remember the Waratahs are kind of going from ground to ground this year because remember they knocked down their ground in central Sydney, so they're kind of a nomadic team at the moment. Jonathan picked the Blues in Super Brave. I did that last week and it didn't pay off. Do a live stream for the Reds and Lions game? I don't think so. That game's on at a horrendous time over here. I think I'm going to go straight to bed because there's tons of rugby on in the morning. The yearly jersey change is just a big money maker. It's pretty ridiculous. Well, the New Zealand team seemed to do it bi-yearly. So, yeah, they had the stripy light blue one for 2 years. The Crusaders had the one for 2 years, and then they've switched. So, didn't like their away jersey at all. But yeah, the yearly jersey changes are definitely to make money. And you find more teams are playing their away jersey like every game that they're away, often because they have a different sponsor. So it's like they have to play a set number of games in the away jersey. Like it used to be you only play your away jersey if there's a clash, right? Like Blues Waratahs, 2 teams in blue, probably you should play your away jersey. Chiefs against Crusaders, black and red, there's no reason to play the away jersey. And funnily enough, the Crusaders wore a blue jersey like the Blues, and they lost, so that'll serve them. Jasmine got back from the Chiefs game. You must be pretty pumped, Jasmine. If you're going to go to a game, that was the one to go to. What time are we at now? 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the first half. Blues have just won a penalty on halfway. Rain delay for the Big Bash final. I didn't know it was the Big Bash final. I know New Zealand are playing India in cricket. That's about it. As a Hurricanes fan, I think we are coming dead last in the New Zealand Conference this season, even after watching the Highlanders play. Interesting. We will see how these guys in white go this week. Bashir must be in your team of the week this week. Still lots of games to go, man. Still lots of games to go. You never know. But based on that performance, you would have to say pretty likely after I snubbed them last week. I hate how the new jerseys don't have a collar anymore. All the new Adidas jerseys don't have a collar, yeah. And that the collar that they've got is on my one. And what's the other one I've got? There's a similar model one I've got. It's already starting to kind of lose its shape a little bit. It's going kind of wonky. So, yeah, they're not the best. Carolina Dragons are the only team in Super Rugby League not to have TV coverage. Is that right? Damn. Sure was very happy the Chiefs won. I'll bet, man. That was a hell of a game. Blues have just scored. Come on. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? There it is. Gibson's the one who got the try. Hey, Tim. How's it going? Tim will also be in a good mood after the Brumbies won yesterday. Oh, man, just powered over. Some good leg strength there from Blake Gibson. Highlanders have a lock on last, says Elran. Hey, Harry. How's it going, man? Let's go Blues indeed. So someone comment the Highlanders and the Hurricanes will be fine to avoid the water spoon. The Blues will be happy. Don't go counting out the Blues for the wooden spoon yet, guys. Come on, man. We have had a lock on that for years now. That's our baby. So Tutu's been class, man. I agree. Peter Fitter has missed the conversion, so it is 5-0 to the Blues. Oh. How good were the Sharks and how bad were the Highlanders? The Sharks were pretty good. They did look a bit weary for that kind of patch in the second half, but they got a bit of second wind. And the Highlanders, I guess, looked like a team who had an extra layer of rust. So we'll see if they can lift for next week. I wouldn't write them off just yet. The Sharks are a good side. Oh man, the Blues are going for it. Harry, I haven't had a look yet, but I will. Hurricanes are nothing without a good 10. That's been the Blues' problem for years. Oh. McDonald's second year, and we Bowden on the way. Blues will get third in the New Zealand Conference. I will take that. I will take that for sure. Very happy. We still got no goal kickers. Who needs goal kickers when you got a maul like that? But yeah, you're right. Goal kickers may come in necessary at some point. Greetings, Mata. Yeah, Chiefs Crusaders was a great game, and after the Waratahs just threw the ball directly into touch, it makes me question whether watching this one in full is a good idea, but here we are. Scottish Highlanders fan was not looking great this season. Surely too few All Blacks. The Highlanders in recent years have always managed to kind of get the most out of those fringe guys, eh? And they turned some guys into All Blacks, albeit kind of fringe All Blacks at times. I mean, they always had Ben Smith and Aaron Smith who were kind of the mainstays. But, Lima Sopoana got a few tests. Josh Ioane managed to get into the squad. Frizzell got in. Dixon got in. So they've had some guys. Even Luke Whitelock got a few games. So, yeah, they've always managed to get the results even without, like, the Retallicks and guys like that, Anton Leonard-Browns. But, yeah, we'll see. Who do I think will win? I bloody hope the Blues win, honestly. But I picked the Waratahs, so I'm covered either way. Saying Blues by 7. When does Bowden Barrett come back? I think it's the middle of April, John. I think middle of April. So I don't think he'll get to play the Canes if my memory of the fixtures list, which is probably not very reliable, but if memory serves, I don't think he'll play the Canes. I think we play them at the start of April. And before that. Good win by the Chiefs. I'm going to call them Chiefs. Yeah, man. That was it. I'm going to take that. Blues are looking good, and I am wearing the right shirt, man. I got to wear the Blues away shirt when the Blues are playing away. Star Leo, hello, man. How's it going? The Blues won't need Barrett versus us. Come on. It won't be that bad, surely. Canes are going to pick it up. The Canes are going to pick it up. Blues scrums looking good. A lot of aspects of the Blues game looks good. It's just the finishing part, which often looks bad. Nick Evans was the last great 10 that the Blues have ever had. And that's a while ago now. I don't remember him being great for the Blues either. Maybe he was, and I'm just being a bit harsh. But I remember him being all right. Apparently there's going to be a rugby championship game in this stadium in Newcastle. No way. Are they playing the Pumas there? I can't believe they're playing anyone else there. It has to be the Pumas. Canes need Artie and a miracle. Well, I think Artie's he's on the mend faster than they thought, right? Going to the Highlanders game in Canberra next week with a bunch of Highlanders fans. Should be good banter. That'll be interesting, man. You're brave. Oh, the Waratahs are on attack for a bit. This must be their first visit into the Blues half for quite some time. Find it. Just put a hit on the new 10 for the Tars, but I think it was high. And it looks high. What about Benji Marshall? He played for the... Oh, God, don't go there, man. I kind of blocked that from memory, but you're right. Evans was just okay for the Blues, never great. That's kind of my memory of it as well, but it's a long time ago. Really need Artie, indeed. Michael Hooper gave up the captaincy but still wants to captain the Wallabies. Yeah, that's apparently what I heard, is that he wants to focus on the Wallabies job, so he's kind of not doing the Waratahs thing. He wants to focus on his play, which is fine. I mean, the Crusaders had Whitelock as the Crusaders captain and Kieran Reid was the All Blacks captain, so it can work. Scotland versus New Zealand, 18th of July, Dunedin. Think Scotland will smash you. We need to take a screenshot of that and come back to that later. Heard the stuff about South Africa joining the Six Nations after the next Rugby World Cup. Yeah. I've been reading a lot of that kind of stuff over the last few years, to be honest. And the Tars have just missed a penalty. And yeah, there's been lots of talk that heaps of the South African Super Rugby teams want to leave and go into the Pro 14. This is the first time I've heard South Africa join the Six Nations, but yeah, I suppose anything's possible. The time zones certainly work a lot better. And I think if South Africa was in the position they were in under Coetzee, then they would have probably not much leverage to get themselves in. But as world champions, maybe it's a more attractive prospect. The seasonal thing has to be a problem, surely, though, right? Like, it can't be. Based on that game at Durban the other day, like, playing Six Nations games there at the same time of year surely wouldn't be a good idea. Don't know. Harry's got his blue shirt on. Good man. Shouldn't get even more captaining experience in Super Rugby help captaining the international team. Yeah, I guess it's just a bit tiring. He wants to just focus on playing. Don't worry about all the interviews and all that nonsense, so I suppose. Do you think the Canes will beat the Jaguares? I picked the Jaguares based on my current Super Rugby picks in Super Bro. Maybe that's an endorsement for the Canes. Do you think it'll be cool if South Africa plays Six Nations but tour New Zealand for June series? I mean, I must admit, there's one thing that the establishment of the Tri-Nations, as it was, kind of killed about the South African-New Zealand rivalry as it became so frequent. Like, I remember when tours of South Africa were like these big, scary things that were almost impossible to win. And they were really hyped up. But then, because of the Rugby Championship or Tri-Nations, it kind of became a bit more routine and it lost a bit of aura about it. So that would do something for it, I guess. Dave Rennie likes the two captain setup, so we might see two captains this season. That's very true, man. He does like two captains. Fiji suggested to join the Six Nations if everybody's been suggesting the nation for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, that's true. I did read that same article about Fiji potentially joining the Six Nations because all their players, for the most part, play in Europe anyway. So, yeah, it seems everyone wants in on the Six Nations. Fiji wants higher level competition. South Africa's angling towards Europe. Yeah, Southern Hemisphere rugby at the moment is not in a great position in terms of their competitions. Just looking at the crowd of this one is a testament to that. South Africa need to stay in Rugby Championship. New Zealand need that competition. I think that's probably a pretty good point. I always thought, and it wasn't my idea, so I read it somewhere, that the best way for the South Africans would be to have their players playing in Europe for clubs. So I know it'd kill Super Rugby. This is just from a South African point of view. You get the South African guys playing in Europe, hopefully on better salaries than they're on now. And then they still play in the Rugby Championship, so they still get to meet the All Blacks. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. But I don't know. Will Japan come to play in the Rugby Championship? That seems to be the discussion, man. Like, New Zealand is putting all its bets on Japan. That's like the big cash cow for New Zealand. Everything is about Japan right now. So if South Africa goes, which is where the money comes from at the moment, New Zealand are looking at Japan. Too many tests between South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand needs to be biannual. Yeah, and the format of it, I think, could use a bit of rework. Like, one thing I've noticed in the last couple of years watching the Six Nations is it's good only playing the teams once. It's the return legs that I think are the killer for the Rugby Championship. I think if you only have to play them once, kind of like the World Cup, it's better for the competition. Super Rugby champion prediction. I would still have to go Crusaders, but you never know. Australian Rugby Union have a future. Poorly attended games, huge payouts for Falau. TV is just falling apart. Waratahs, no home ground. Hey, Scooter's back. How's it going, Scooter? Aussie, I think, are angling to get rugby free to air. Man, look at that blue scrum. It is devastating at the moment. I think they're trying to get the game back to grassroots level. Blues have got to score here. Come on, Blues. Don't stuff this up. Okay, they knocked it on. Anyway, what am I drinking? It is, I picked an Aussie beer. Cooper's Brewery Original Pale Ale. Australian made, Australian owned. So I believe it is from South Australia. Japan has the money. The thing I like about once is there's more variation in winners. Like, apart from the South Africans and the British and Irish Lions, not many teams have come to New Zealand and had that much success. But if New Zealand had to go away and you only get the one game, I think you get more variations in the winners. I think that's partly what the competition needs. New Zealand dominance for too long kind of didn't do it a lot of favours. Blues just kicked the penalty. Morning in South Africa. Good evening from New Zealand, man. 8-0 to the Blues. Looking all right so far. Blues 71% territory. What if South African teams go to Europe? They just expand to a new league between them and New Zealand, Australia, maybe a Pacific Island team. South Africa go to Europe. They just expand. A new league between just New Zealand, Australia, and maybe a Pacific Island team. Argentina could have their own tournament. I suppose that's another possibility. If you're looking at geographic areas, it makes more sense to have New Zealand, Australia together. And I guess the South Americans, because they've got a new pro leagues just started. If that could somehow get in touch with what the Americans are doing. But again, that's a league still in its kind of infancy, and I can't imagine the MLR guys wanting to go with the South Americans, but don't know. I think the plan at the moment is to get a streaming deal with Optus, who hold the exclusive rights for the Premier League. Right, it sounds like what's happening with Spark Sport over here. They're trying to get some of the sports along. Yeah, not a whole lot of rugby in Adelaide. Doesn't Adelaide have a couple of AFL teams? Chiefs game, whenever there was a scrap on the field, they played kung fu fighting. I love that. That's hilarious. I do love that ground, man. I've been there twice now, and it's a real proper rugby ground. You can sit so close to the game. Like, it's a proper rugby ground. I know quite a few Aussie rugby fans who are happy that Foxtel are leaving rugby union. Yeah, I think it's probably, whilst they get the cash injection from the TV deal, it doesn't help grow the game to having it behind a paywall. Like, Sky has got the rights here in New Zealand, but Sky's numbers have been dropping for years. Like, year after year, Sky's number of subscribers just goes down, down, down. And what happens to the attendances as well? They're not exactly very hot. Go charge your computer, Harry. Phil Kearns will be out of a job. Loads of those guys. A couple of them are already out of jobs, man. Like Nick what's his name? Nick McArdle and Drew Mitchell. They already lost their jobs. So, but yeah, Phil Kearns. I think people wouldn't be that upset. Why are the Waratahs playing in Newcastle? Because they got rid of that stadium next to the SCG. What was it called? Allianz? I forget the name of the ground without the sponsors title. They knocked that down, so they got no home at the moment. I went there once. It was nice. Well, it was old, but not different from Eden Park. Aussie needs to spread its game all around Australia. I do think they missed the trick with Western Australia, where although someone in the stream yesterday said it's because it's all Kiwis and South Africans who live out that way, but rugby union seems to be fairly strong out there compared to other areas of Australia, like Melbourne, where it's all AFL. Predictions for Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland. You're Scottish. I picked Scotland, and I picked Wales, but my predictions today have been 0. So, yeah, don't mean a lot. Australia, Japan, Argentina, All Blacks, Fiji play one game each of a month. It's the money factor, eh? Always the money factor. Do you think the Canes have a chance against the Chiefs? I think they've always got a chance. I always think that the underdogs have a chance, but Chiefs would definitely go into that one as favourites. You're pretty much on halfway. Nice. The 2 times I've been to that ground where the Chiefs play, I've had seats really close, like second row, I think. Maybe first row once and second row once. So literally when the players come by, you can just see it's like they're only a few meters away, man. It's awesome. McArdle, that's right. The only reason I got Sky is for the rugby. I feel you, man. I absolutely am in the same boat. My mother dropped Sky Sports a few months ago. Yeah, man, it's not doing good. But they're in, like, Sky's, this is in New Zealand, their destiny is totally in rugby union's hands because they've just signed a huge deal with New Zealand Rugby to go for the next few years. And New Zealand Rugby is actually a stakeholder, like a shareholder, I think. They got 5% of the shares in Sky Sport or in Sky. So those two companies are intertwined. With the crowds the Waratahs get, they could play at a high school, bro. That's a bit sad. Squidge flies in to help Rennie, and they'd have a pretty amazing plan, at least. Yeah, true. With that analysis, should make a competition with South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Argentina, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga. Hold a month-long tournament every year in a different country, like a kind of mini World Cup. I'm trying to think what other sports do that. Like Africa has in football, soccer, they have like their African. It's like called the Cup of Nations or something. Is that one annual or biannual? But that's the same kind of style. It's a regional thing. Canes are Chiefs bogey team. That's true as well. Man, it's already 32 minutes gone. This game is not. It's not been the best. I've taken very few notes because not that much has been happening. Who's your favorite player, blues player as a kid? As a Canes fan, I was scared of Lomu, Badiri, Carlos, Cashmore, Zinni, Michael Jones. Blues were amazing. Yeah, probably Michael Jones, man. I did like Michael Jones. I get mixed up in my head as what time frame it was. Maybe it was before Super Rugby, but like the Wetton brothers, Grant Fox, like those guys all signed autographs, came to my school, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Support the Canes was so disappointed when they lost 27-0. That was a pretty disappointing result. Do you think the Blues would beat the Highlanders? No. I never backed the Blues against another New Zealand team, but you never know. I got Sky Sport Now, the streaming app. Yeah, that might be something I have to look into because that's kind of what I've been saying they needed to do. Not that I'm a genius or anything, but like loads of places have got online streaming for content that you want. It was like when I was in China, I used to be able to sign up to Rugby Pass and just watch rugby. I only paid for rugby. I didn't want movies. I didn't want weather. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted the rugby. And that's what they charged me for. And I was like, this is awesome. Sky should do that. But they still have the package deal. But they've just launched, I think it is this year, right? The Sky Sport Now streaming service. I did have a look at it. It does seem a little bit expensive for what you get. But other than that, didn't a new stadium open in West Sydney? They do have a new stadium in West Sydney. Waratahs have played there. One thing I noticed about Super Rugby is that once you've got way less ding dongs in here yelling at you to show. Yes, that's true. During the World Cup, when I would do live streams, all I would get every 5 minutes was someone going, "Bro, show the game. Turn your webcam around. Show the game." I guess in Super Rugby, nobody cares. I don't even need to put in the brackets of the title that I'm not showing the game. Yeah, that's true. Rebels were a Brumbies bogey team too. Yeah, I picked the Rebels thinking they were the bogey team. That didn't go down that well. How many tries did Grant Fox have for the All Blacks? Was it like 2? He had one disallowed. I remember that. Like the one where the linesman had his flag up forever, and then they scored a try, did the celebration, and then ages later they came back and said, no, he was a foot in touch. Crusaders lost the breakdown big time. Oh, the Waratahs just got a scrum penalty. That's against their recent scrums. Final 2 teams prediction. Crusaders Chiefs, maybe? They both look pretty good. What's your opinion about rotating the AB players? For the All Blacks, I know they need to build depth. They've been caught out in the past when they've only had depth in the starting players. In Super Rugby, it does kind of take away from the game a bit. They're forced to limit the minutes and whatnot of the players. Scottish Rugby Union has the highest paid CEO in World Rugby. I saw that story. That was atrocious. Why does the guy get paid so much? It's ridiculous. Bloody administrator, eh? I think Townsend has been a failure. We've built on Vern Carter's success. We should bin Townsend and bring Russell back into the fold. Yeah, it is kind of strange. Like, I had heard from Scottish fans that the reason Cotter wasn't kept on was partially they didn't want to pay him, which seems crazy based on the results. Grant Fox scored one All Blacks try. It wasn't a test match. It was like a midweek game. Maybe that's right, but he definitely had one disallowed, so it should have been two, maybe. Different times. He still scored a ton of points. Right. To actually talk about the game that I'm watching, the Waratahs are on attack in the Blues 22. Second phase, and it's probably their second visit to the Blues 22 in the first half. We're at 36 minutes. And I am topping up my beer. Five phases. Can the Tars break through this Blues defense? They're like 6 meters out, 7 phases, and they've got advantage. Here's the time to try something special. Boshier should be an AB. He should be an AB. Come on, do something, Tars. This ball's incredibly slow. They got advantage, and they just keep trucking it up one off. The forwards are not going to give this to the backs. Second advantage. If the Blues don't watch how they're going to get carded. Why do you support the Blues? Because I'm from Auckland, man. Don't have a choice. And to be fair, when I was growing up, they were awesome. That may sound strange. Some of you guys have probably never been alive when the Blues were awesome, but the Blues used to be awesome. Jeez, this is painful. Foketi finally goes over for the try. 38 minutes, 17 phases. They gave it to the backs. Sure enough, they got some pay for it. Just wasn't slick. Watching Japan go through the quarterfinals was fun, indeed. Did you see someone want to cut off the Brumbies? I did, man. I watched that game. He was pretty good. Any points for the Tars will be vital at this point. They've done well to get some points from what I think is like maybe their second visit to the Blues. Half. Geez, who did he run over? Was it Perifetta? Well, straight over him. Because they didn't get quick ball out to him, so Perifetta had time to go and cover him, but then he just ran straight over him. I like it how they use home commentators for all countries in Super Rugby. Yeah, it's always interesting, though, that for the Hawares games, they always have to send like an away commentary team because the home commentators would be in Spanish. And then when you get the Sunwolves Hawares, that's fun times. Seven points to 8 at halftime. It hasn't been a classic, people. But there's still 40 minutes to go. Blues are pretty trash to support since watching rugby. Every team has won Super Rugby but us. But yeah, but we've won it more if you go back far enough. We've won it a few times. But yeah, it's getting a bit desperate when you start looking back to 1990, whatever. Blues used to be awesome. The Blues have not been awesome for a while. Blues 96, 97 were basically All Blacks. To be fair, you are largely correct. I played rugby with Perifeta when he was in Wanganui. Was he any good at that level? Koroi and Naraki were in your team. That's awesome. The times Lomu played great games against South Africa. Miss him for sure. That guy was a legend. Blues have the best away jerseys. That's getting into Italy territory where it's like your team's rubbish, but your jersey looks good. Do you think if humans put 1,000th the time and science as they do into watching sports, that cancer would be cured by now? I don't know. Sports surely makes people more productive in other areas, right? You watch some sports, you forget about your worries, you go back to work fresh the next day, or your team loses and you go in a bit depressed. But I don't know. Kind of want to listen to Spanish commentators for the Jags. It's like South American football commentary would be great. I would imagine, even if you couldn't understand it, it'd be pretty passionate. That's true. Hard first half to watch. You are not kidding. That was not the best. Was he good? He was alright, but Billy and Jonah were better, I think. But Sevens format definitely suits their playstyles. True. The Italian jerseys are excellent. Well, I mean, you don't mess with the Italians when it comes to like design and fabric and stuff, right? They got that down. The rugby thing's still not quite there. Never played sevens. Typical Fijian, super fast, slick footwork. Kind of goes without saying with those guys, eh? Here he is. Yeah, man. Back to the live streams. Mr. Lord of the Kings. If the Blues lose John Kerwin on the breakdown. Blues lose John Kerwin on the breakdown. It'd be good to see what he says. I can't stand that guy on the breakdown. He's really annoying. Yeah. Do I like the new Crusaders logo? Not really, but I'm generally not like I'm kind of in that grumpy old man stage of my life where I don't like change. I don't like changing stuff. Like the Warriors changed their logo. I was like, I don't like the new logo. Glasgow changed their logo. I was like, I don't like the new logo. So, yeah, I don't like the new logo. That being said, I do prefer this Blues logo over the old Blues logo. What are you going to do? How is the New Zealand commentator for the Jags games? I know South Africa is a complete bore. Yeah, they always go with that really old fella for the South African games. What's his name? He's pretty old. I think he's a former Springbok, right? Yeah. I think they switch it up depending on who's available. Hurricanes away jerseys are the worst ever. The away jerseys for the New Zealand teams this year are not looking good. If you're from Counties Manukau, how can you support the Chiefs? You talking to me or somebody else? Cheers for the Six Nations previews. Nah, man, that's been all good. It's been fun. It's a ton of rugby to watch on the weekend, man. I tell my wife the schedule, and she's like, "Oh my god, are you gonna do anything apart from watch rugby?" I'm like, yeah, I'll help out. My Romanian friend supports the Blues because of the early 90s. It's kind of like how in New Zealand there's a lot of Manchester United fans because they used to be really good. But like more like Crusaders level good than Auckland Blues level good. But yeah, you know what I mean. At least the logo isn't a thingy. Yeah, indeed. They changed it because of the mosque shooting. That's true. It brought up all kinds of issues. Kerwin is a not very good coach. Indeed. And I find him a bit, I don't know, he's just like a bit of a know it all on the show. Not a fan. Not a fan. They have Nick Mallet on Supersport. Nick Mallet is a bit of a know it all as well, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like he listens a bit more than JK. JK just likes to talk over people, which kind of drives me up the wall. That guy's like 80. He sounds like he's drifting off it out of sleep. Let's talk about the South African commentator. I forget his name. He's got a cool accent, but yeah, he just does everything pretty slowly. Just talking about people in Counties Manukau in general. Okay, fair enough. Love my vids, and it's your birthday. Happy birthday. I always associated the Crusaders with all the good things, and they did for the community. Okay, I didn't. Oh, man, I can't remember. I think I was in China back when that happened. Why did teams change their shirts every season? Be better financially to keep the same shirt. Not paying people to redesign things. Driving Mall is a better show, and the breakdown. Agree. The breakdown's kind of more like that. Like, what's that American show on ESPN? There's like Pardon the Interruption. It's more like that style where they want them to like talk over each other and just be a bit kind of a-holy. So, yeah. Call it like it is. Kerwin is a knob. Yeah, he's a bit of an arrogant prick from what you can see of him on telly anyway. I mean, he was one of the greatest wingers of his time, maybe of all time. So credit to him for that. But not a very good coach, and I don't really rate him as a pundit. But some people will like him. Different strokes with different folks. I don't mind Justin Marshall that much, and I know most Kiwis hate him. So like I said, different strokes, different folks. Halftime stats for this game: Waratahs 62% possession, 59% territory. Knock-ons: Waratahs 4, Blues 5. From memory, Chiefs Crusaders at halftime was 1 knock-on Chiefs, 2 Crusaders. So that again talks about the state of the game. Hugh Bladen, that's the guy. That's the old fellow who commentates. Hasn't the main New Zealand commentator been commentating since the 80s? That'd be Grant Nisbet, and yes, he's been commentating for yonks. Yonks and yonks and yonks. It's an interesting one with New Zealand. They seem to be going to more former players for commentators, and that doesn't always work that well. Like traditionally, you've got the guy who's like a broadcaster, who's not a former player, and he does the play-by-play. And then you've got a color commentator, if you're looking at the American term, the guy who's a former player, talks about his experiences, tells little stories, and gives the tactical analysis. That combo seems to work pretty well, but they're trying to get more and more former players into it. They've still got a few, like Scotty Stevenson used to do it for Sky, but not anymore. But yeah, it's just a path they're going down. My dad just said Kerwin's just getting old. Maybe that's what it is too. Boom for boy. Yes, I quite like that one. Yeah. Sumo is sort of the top tier, though. Yeah. Ever thought about being a commentator? Nah, don't think so. Now we have Jean de Villiers. He's okay. Jean de Villiers does like sideline commentary, right? He doesn't do like the play-by-play, does he? Like it's Matthew Pearce, right? He's really good from South Africa, and he's a broadcaster. Pronunciation of players' names, no matter if they're French, Samoan, Afrikaans, like whatever. His pronunciation's really good. He does his homework. But when the former players do it, they're not there to get the pronunciation right and get the broadcasting bit right. They're there to do the rugby stuff. So, yeah, I think there's a split that there should be there. JK is a legend, off the cuff, and a bit goofy. Does Adidas and Nike switch between football and soccer every few years? Adidas has had the rugby here in New Zealand for ages now. Man, the Waratahs' tackling percentage is 78%, which is poor. And yet they've only conceded one try. And the Blues are tackling at 91%. They've also conceded one try. Always liked rugby, but the World Cup made me love it ever since I watched Japan versus Ireland on a plane to Spain. Content's been spectacular. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, man. Cheers to that. It has been pretty fun. The problem with commentating is you can't have dead air, so you got to keep talking. It means you got to start talking a lot of useless crap. That's true. That is true. You can't not talk. And guys get kind of patterns that they go into just trying to fill the dead time. So, yeah, you start to pick up on it after a while. I think former players add to the social media aspect of a circa familiar face. Yeah. Rugby in general has been lacking on social media front when compared with other sports. It's true. Sumo is actually a very good journalist as well. Yeah, man. The guy, like, what do they call it when you write a book for somebody? He either writes it with them or he's like a shadow or something. He writes a lot of their biographies, like when they retire. Like, yeah, he's a really smart guy. You ever thought about growing a mean beard? Bro, I cannot grow a beard to save my life. I can barely grow a mustache to look like a 70s porn star. So, yeah. Patchy at best. Carl Tanana is pretty good for an ex-player. It's funny because anytime I watch rugby with my old man, he starts yelling at the TV when Carl Tanana starts commentating. Shut up, Carl. You don't know what you're talking about. Stick to sevens, you dickhead. That's what he says. His words, not mine. Ghost Rider, there you go. Oh, Marchant just scored a try. Nice. First Super Rugby try for him. How does Super Rugby survive with such small crowds? This crowd is particularly small. The previous game had like 14,000, which is, I think, on par with most of the rugby leagues around the world. But the TV deal is pretty much how they make most of their money, I believe. Oh, man. Beats two tacklers. Waratahs' defense has been a bit lacking, and they paid for that one. He looks legit happy to have just scored his first Super Rugby try. Whiteboard update is coming. If this one keeps going the way it is, I will have none from four with my Super picks. Murray mixed there with the inappropriate comments. That was kind of his thing. She's a vivid and draw beard on. Maybe I should go to that what's that ad that's on every day about guys regrowing their hair? I just walked into a gas station and I saw a guy on the TV screen with the same jacket as me, but he was bald. And then I realized it was me, so I thought I would get some hair treatment. Like that ad. What is that ad? It's on every day. I need to get that done for my face. Do you review Champions Cup games? Super Rugby games get more views. My Super Rugby stuff gets way more views than the Champions Cup stuff, but the majority of my subscribers, I think, are from the Southern Hemisphere, although it's probably evening out a bit more. Like with the Six Nations, the UK has been my number one place at the moment. But like for the first year of my channel, it was all focused on the Southern Hemisphere stuff. We have just scored another try. Blues are on fire in the second half. South Africa gets small crowds when they play Super Rugby there. That's true. But the South African teams have huge stadiums, like 50,000 seaters, so they always look small. I still think they probably get around 10,000, which is on a par with Pro 14 and on Premiership. It's not that different. It's just that it looks horrendous because the stadiums are too big. And that was Satutu that kicked that ball through as well. That's incredible. Just dotted it down, man. Your dad sounds pretty much like exactly my dad. He's got 5 commentators he hates and only likes players after they retire. Everyone playing right now is apparently terrible. My dad is pretty funny to watch sports with sometimes. It does get pretty annoying when he just like keeps yelling at the TV to shut up. And I just missed the conversion. 7 points to 19. And my dad doesn't really understand the new rules, I think. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry, 20. My maths is bad. Yeah, like my dad at the breakdown. Or like they can be the highest of high tackles. And he's like, that's not a high tackle. It's like, Dad, the rules these days, that's a high tackle lump. No, it's not a high tackle. Yeah. Never noticed before, but Marchin's got that Vegeta hairline. Let's hope he can go Super Saiyan on these Waratahs. Ghost Rider is indeed the word. Sometimes I like to think about what the rugby world would be like if New Zealand lost the Rugby World Cup 2011. Oh, man. How bad a choke would that have been? Tars look terrible. You ain't kidding. They maintained their structures pretty well last week against the Crusaders, but it was hard to know if the Crusaders were just too good at times. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm 13. Do you think I could ever make it into my dream team? The Canes. Bro, yeah, keep practicing. Keep playing. Practice your skills. TV money keeps the game alive. Indeed. Stormers have the best crowd attendance. Yeah, the Stormers, I think, always get close to 20,000 for their games. They've had the best Super Rugby attendance. I didn't see last year's limited numbers, but yeah, for the most part, the Stormers. There goes my Super. I had the Tars by 4. I think I also had the Tars by something similar because I was like, I'm not picking the Blues 2 weeks in a row. Blues need a new Gokuka. Yes. Haven't been watching the game. Is Nonu playing? Nah, Nonu's gone off to play in America. He is not playing for the Blues this year. They look better against the Crusaders. This is a home game. Look like they phoned it in. Yeah, that's what's disappointing. Like last week, sure, the Crusaders tore them to bits at times, but the Crusaders do that. But at least they looked like a team which kind of knew what they were doing. Old man always hits the mute button when Justin Marshall fires up and calls him Motor Mouth Marshall. Yeah, my dad yells at him, "Shut up, Justin. Just shut up. Don't know what you're talking about." Even when he's making a pretty good point. Yeah. Is there a salary cap in Super Rugby? As far as I'm aware, each of the New Zealand teams spends the same amount, and the South African teams have all been brought into line in terms of how much they spend, and the Aussie teams too. I'm not sure about the Sunwolves or the Hawares, but I think at least for South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, internally they all have their own cap, but it's not like the South African cap's the same as the New Zealand cap, but like the Bulls and the Lions would be on the same cap, if you know what I mean. Which is hard to believe. You think, man, the Blues have been on the same operating budget as the Crusaders all these years, and look at the difference in the results. Pretty pathetic. Blues fan, yes, unfortunately. I say that now. We used to be good. If you like the game, then putting time and effort in outside of your normal training is easy. Exactly, man. If you're enjoying what you're doing, it won't feel like extra work. It'll feel like fun. It's kind of like me with this channel. Like I like doing stuff, like taking notes during a game because it's enjoyable. If it felt like work, I sure as heck wouldn't be doing it because I don't want to go to my work on Monday, but I do want to watch all the rugby. Known as probably your favorite player of all time. Oh, good kick. I can see why, man. The guy was one of the best midfielders, at least in my lifetime. Didn't Ted leave Marshall behind on a northern tier because of his mouth? Wouldn't surprise me, man. Wouldn't surprise me. I remember back in 2015, I went to a Hurricanes Chiefs game at Euro Stadium in New Plymouth. Got 2 tries. That was so sick. Nice. Blues could certainly use another try. Still drinking the Aussie beer. Need to send me some South African beer. You know what's funny? Is that one guy from Wales said he was going to send me some Welsh beer, and he said he sent it, and I have no reason to doubt him. It never showed up. And an Argentinian guy said he was going to send me some Argentinian beer because I always said I wanted to try the Imperial beer from all the Hawares games. Never arrived. So I'm wondering does that stuff get seized by customs or what? Because it seems unusual that I've had 2 beer orders disappear. Like nobody ever called me to be like, bro, you got some beer here. We need to see your ID before you can pick it up. Nothing. Maybe you need a license to import beer. I don't know. Do you think the Sharks can go all the way this year? I don't know if the Sharks can go all the way, but they look all right. They look pretty good. It's hard to compare because the Highlanders have only played 1 game, but they've certainly got a ton of talent in the backs. Customs drank it. Yeah, man, I feel like maybe Customs drank my beer. Honestly. Those guys. You can't ship beer via the post. So what happens with it? How come they take it? Like I once tried to ship milk powder to China, and at my post office, they said you can't ship that. That's not legal to ship. Like New Zealand doesn't allow you to ship milk powder you have to have a license to ship milk powder. So they stopped it there. You trying to tell me they just let it? Then what happens to it? Does it get destroyed? Oh, in some countries. So maybe the sending country is okay, but not the receiving country? Another 2 tries, and I think the Blues will win. Blues just missed a penalty. You should get a note from Customs. Yeah, I thought I would have heard from something, right? But nah, not a thing. Really want the Blues to give Narawa some proper game time? Yeah, maybe as the season goes on. Sharks looking good. Looking good. Yeah, man. Kuhn Bosch. He's got to get some proper Springboks time this year, surely. What do you think about the Stormers' chances? Like, when I looked at all the squads, on paper, the Stormers was the one that I was like, yeah, this is the team that without Robbie Fleck as the coach needs to finally do something. So I think the Stormers are the South African team to beat this year. Glad to see the Blues crushing the Tars. They're like the Pommies of Aussie rugby. Nobody wants to see them win. I never knew that before I started this channel. Like, I guess that's just kind of the local knowledge that you get from within the game. Like, it is like traditionally everyone wants to see Auckland or the Blues lose in New Zealand, but the Blues have been bad for so many years. I feel like even that's kind of gone. Like, nobody really cares if the Blues lose anymore because that's to be expected. When I was in China, Shenzhen, many of my Chinese mates went across to Hong Kong to get milk powder. They couldn't get it in the mainland. Yeah, one of my friends in China was like, send me some milk powder. And I was like, cool, I'll send some milk powder. I bought some. I went to the New Zealand post office and they were like, no, you can't send it because it's a restricted product. And I was like, okay. Didn't know that because my parents used to send it to me when I lived in China, but that was many years before. At least Shenzhen to Hong Kong is not far. Another long season for the Tars. If you're losing 20 to 7 to the Blues, then yeah, maybe. Oh, snap. That could be trouble. No, they're not going to look at it. Also, think some countries have mail services in their own internal policies about shipping alcohol as well. It must be something that's stopping it, but it's. I would have thought either myself or the sender would have been notified. I would have got something to say, bro, we got some booze, you can't have it. I would have been like, all right, that's a pity. And I could have at least told the person, hey, customs told me no. Or that person would have been told, bro, we stopped your package. And then they would have been told, you're not allowed to send it. And then right now it seems like it's just in the dark. Oh, they are going to have a look at that. That was my initial thought. They're going to have a look at it. So Tutu with kind of a high shoulder to Carmichael Hunt's chin, maybe. Yellow, maybe. I think the Brumbies will win the Aussie Conference or the Sunwolves. I would say Brumbies. Yeah, it's hit Carmichael Hunt's hands. But if his hands weren't there, it'd be here with his shoulder. I think it's probably going to be yellow. Maybe. Terrible way to alienate a good part of their fan and player base. Being from Queensland, I'd say not got much love for the Tars. Everyone loves the Brumbies. Underachieving big city there. Yellow card. That's kind of lucky. I think if Carmichael Hunt's hand is not there, the card colour may have been more red than yellow. But anyway. But yeah, underachieving big city thing is kind of what the Blues do as well. He just showed him a red card, but it was yellow. That's hilarious. Wait, Carmichael Hunt is still playing? Yes. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the Sunwolves won the tournament? It would be absolutely amazing. But I think it's probably pretty unlikely. Don't think that's a card, definitely a penalty. These days, yeah. As soon as I saw it, I thought, yeek, that's going to be a card. But that's one of the ones, if my dad was here, he'd be like, that's not a bloody card. He's falling into it, that kind of thing. Everyone with me now that's watching this game are now talking about John Kerr in the breakdown this week is going to be a headache. Yeah. Oh, Jack Maddox has come on. Chiefs look good to go all the way. Might be right. Where did I get the cap? I had it made off AliExpress. I don't know if it was my idea or if I read it in the comments, but I thought it was funny either way. So this is my standard Blues hat now. Yeah, no, they card that now, but if it wasn't even that long ago, the commentators would be laughing, calling it good stuff. Indeed, man, the game has changed. Before that France England game last week on Twitter, I saw some video of like Le Crunch, right, which is what they call the England France game. I can't remember which players they were, but one of the English guys was going down the wing, and the French guy just kind of picked him up and virtually spear tackled him into the ground, and it was like play on. Whereas nowadays, that is about as red carded as you can get. The rugby shows suck when compared to the league shows in Australia. Yeah, the breakdown has never been my favorite show, but I guess you take what you can get. Beggars cannot be choosers. Hey, Jason. Chiefs Sharks in the final. What year was that? Where the Sharks had to do all that travel. They like played away. Was it home, away? They had to travel like halfway around the world twice to get to the final, play the Chiefs away, and that third game was just too much for them. After seeing so many Japanese-born players in their World Cup squad, I'm disappointed how many in the Sunwolves squad. Yeah, it seems like all their top league teams didn't release them. Only one team, I think Panasonic, actually released their players. That was according to Rich Freeman on Twitter. All the other ones told them to bugger off. "2012. Wow, you guys got some good memories. But you remember that one, right? The Sharks played like in 3 different locations, 3 different parts of the world in 3 weeks, and it proved too much. Italy are the specialists regarding the spear tackle. They showed a little bit of that in the World Cup. But they got punished for it. Can't do that stuff anymore. Whatever happened to that French guy that elbowed the bloke in the mall in the Rugby World Cup? What a turkey. He retired. Vaha Mahina retired from internationals. He's just playing for his club now. Yep. Yeah, that's generally not a good idea when there's bloody cameras everywhere. You can't do that stuff anymore. Something fun where they go around the world and see how other countries go on with their rugby. Oh, what a try. He's hurt himself. But that's 3 tries in 2 games. That's that Juanita Wase. He scored a try in the left corner, but he was kind of diving and fell to the ground and seems to have hurt himself pretty bad. He didn't get back up. Good pass from Beal. I mean, they hit the dirt, but still, it was quick. Oh, jeez. That looked... His body seemed to bend on quite a funny angle on touchdown. Oh, it's because he was getting tackled in the air at the same time. I think it's his shoulder. Youch. That'll be disappointing if he's like out for any length of time. Youch. That guy lost it for France. He did, man. That was about as dumb as like dumb gets. Pretty kind of brain explosion moment. Jeez, I think he's on the that sucky thing they used to put a bit of painkillers into them. Still have no idea what Vaha Mahina was thinking. He wasn't, man. That was just like Zinedine Zidane World Cup final moment. Just explosion of the brain. New Caledonia. Yeah, I got in trouble once when I did a foreign players video and I said he was foreign because he was from New Caledonia when technically that's still France. But I tried to argue with the people, unsuccessfully, I think, that New Caledonia, like being part of France, is like Scotland being part of the UK. Like you can be Scottish and part of the UK, but still want to represent Scotland. So you can be from New Caledonia and still want to represent New Caledonia, even if you're French. But the French weren't buying it. Out for the season already. It does look likely, bro. That was pretty bad. Mr. TSE, it's going pretty well. The Blues have just conceded some points during a yellow card, but they are still in the lead with 15 minutes to go. He's missed it, so it's an 8-point lead to the Tars. Still need 2 scores. Jeez, he looks terrible, man. He looks like he is in a bunch of pain. I put on the breakdown on YouTube the next day that seriously bad. Something I've spent money on making. Would that Vaha Mahina guy make a difference in New Caledonia? I doubt it. Good on him for choosing France. I think that was the Brumbies playing the Chiefs. Final. France don't have overseas territory. They consider all French soil France. Yeah, that seemed to be the difference. It seemed to struck a bit of a nerve, but it does happen when you start talking about where people are born and whatnot. 20 points to 12, 64 minutes gone. There's a minute left in the Blues yellow card. Big Bash is on. He is in a bad way, Stephen. Yeah, man. He does not look like a happy camper at all, which is a pity for a young man. He's really just a rookie, so cut his hair while he's in hospital. Bloody hippie. Man, Ribsy, you're getting old. Oh, Maddox just took that ball clean. Oh, here's trouble. Oh, but the Towers are going to do their Blues impression and try to blow it. Just outside the Blues 22. I like my argument with the British Scottish thing. It made sense to me as well, Tim, but the French were not having a bar. New Caledonia is France. And from memory, I even went to the point of asking, of researching, is there a New Caledonian rugby team? Yes. I even sent a message to the Pacific representative of World Rugby for some question about eligibility. If you played for New Caledonia, would that make you ineligible for France? And they sent me a crap answer which didn't answer my question. Looking at the crowd, who pays the bills for Aussie Rugby? Yes, someone else mentioned something similar. The TV deal is definitely paying the bills because there ain't no many people at this game. It is true. It is true. The red card for France was not the reason they lost. Wales got away with a forward pass. Which was the match-winning try? I can't even remember. I don't know much about rugby, but I do know about big butts. Fair enough. There's some of those in rugby as well. Yeah, but there's a Northland team. Doesn't mean they can't play for New Zealand. Oh, does that work? I don't know if I can remember back that far. Anyway. Hi, Ross. France, Fiji 999. France has been on both sides of bad officiating. Damn, you guys have got some memories like steel traps. I guess everyone remembers if they were wronged by a ref, though. New Zealanders have still not forgiven, was it Garces for that call in the British and Irish Lions game where that penalty got reduced to, was it a scrum? When it was tied? Crowd attendance seems dismal at best. Yeah. I think it's partly because the Waratahs are not fancy to do much this year, and partly because they're playing nomadically at different stadiums, not having a proper home stadium this year or last year. People didn't want to travel. I don't know how far it is to get to Newcastle from central Sydney. I have no idea. I can't wait to see how big the crowd will be at Newlands. They will definitely get a good crowd after last week. And because it's two South African teams, Stormers Bulls, that's a massive game, right? Something about Satutu. Yeah, his yellow card's over. That's the good news. There were only 7,000 at the Brumbies game last night. Could understand it last week. 40-degree day. Sad to see an empty stadium. It was. Wasn't the best crowd. Anything below 10 is getting pretty poor. Roman Poit, that's right. Who do you think will win, Ireland or Wales? I've heard the weather is going to be pretty bad. So in that case, maybe Ireland, although I initially picked Wales based on last week's performances. Not that you can really judge based on the Italian performance, but you know what I mean? To be fair, Newcastle is not exactly rugby mecca. They've never had a team or much rugby there. Yeah. How far is it from Sydney to Newcastle, like downtown Sydney? Like, it seems like a pretty big city compared to Auckland anyway. Ireland to edge a tight game. England to win, Scotland to go, rally at some point, France easily home win. Sounds fair. Newcastle, a massive league town. Yeah, well, this stadium they're playing at, based on the colour of the seats, I'm assuming is the home ground for the Knights. I'm Irish, but the weather today is not the worst. Okay. I heard there was some storm, but I'm not sure. Depends on the traffic more than the distance. Can you take the train to Newcastle, or does nobody take the train? When I was in Sydney, I took the train everywhere and the bus. How many Newcastles are there in the world? I don't know that we've got one in New Zealand. All right, Stephen, you take care, bud. 2 hours from Sydney. Are you serious? Holy hell. That's a long way to go if you want to watch rugby. Like, the Blues sometimes have one game at Albany, which is like on the North Shore. So for me to get there, it's by car like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I'm probably being optimistic with traffic, maybe an hour if traffic is bad. And I feel like that's bad enough. From city to city, be like 2 hours. Jeez. Newcastle is definitely more rugby league, yeah. There is a Newcastle in New Zealand? No way. Come on. Where's Newcastle in New Zealand? Where? I've never heard of it. I'm about 30 minutes from Joburg. It's been raining here all day, so not sure if the weather will also play a big part in the Lions-Reds game. That might suit the Reds. I mean, you can take a train. You could take a horse too, but nobody is going from Sydney to Newcastle to watch the Waratahs fumble around for 80 minutes. Okay. Is Newcastle not actually part of Sydney? Is it a separate city? For some reason, I assumed it was like a suburb. How much time is left on the clock? There's just under, or just over 7 minutes, just under 8 minutes. Not been raining here for the last 12 hours. Not finishing time soon. Okay. Isn't there a Wellington in South Africa and Australia? There's definitely a Wellington in New Zealand. I know that. Newcastle Point, just outside of Masterton. If it's Newcastle Point, does that count though? Yes, a separate city. So the same way as Geelong is a different city from Melbourne, Newcastle is a different city from Sydney. Okay. Well, I guess that is the New South Wales Waratahs, not the Sydney Waratahs. So Oh man, Akira Ioane just got wrapped up from the back of a scrum. And Ripsy just echoed my same point. He probably wrote that before I said it. So yes, should be like that all along. Very separate city. Don't ever call a Novus Castrian a Sydney sider. Okay, I'll be careful about that. I used to think Geelong was part of Melbourne, so ignorance. What can I say? I was in Wellington for the Queen plus Adam Lambert concert. Nice. I've only been to Wellington in New Zealand twice, but I liked it. It's pretty nice. Today is the day. Today's the day that the Blues get a win. Possibly. Oh, I forget he's dropped it. I think the Blues might be good from here. Any streaming tips to watch the rugby? South Africa and the Caribbean. Difficult to watch this rugby. Newcastle's got 600,000 people. Geez, that's bigger than every New Zealand city except Auckland. I don't know any streams that operate for free anyway. I sometimes use Rugby Pass, but I'm not sure if they got the rights in the Caribbean. Melbourne's getting bloody close to Geelong now. Okay. They do see keep going west. Like my relatives live out in Werribee. So I remember taking the train from Werribee to Melbourne City, and that took long enough. Just like the Gold Coast Brisbane, not a whole lot between them anymore. Lions team selection. Hangzhou is not optimistic about their chances. Like I said, I picked the Reds by 1. So this beer is almost done. Why do South Africans always have the same names? There are quite a few common names seemingly in South Africa. Like I know New Zealand had like Smiths, like Conrad Smith, Ben Smith, Aaron Smith. But yeah, there seem to be a few pretty common South African names as well, especially in rugby. Looking at the looks on those fans' faces, they won't be coming back. This has not been like the greatest exhibition, but I suppose it has been a bit wet. And oh, for God's sake, as I say that, they just dropped the ball. Neither of these teams is very good. So if you went to this game expecting top class, then yeah, you probably don't follow Super Rugby. Why would you play James O'Connor at 10? Man, he played there for the Wallabies, right? Maybe it's a thing. I would have played him at 12, but hey. Fortunately, by April, we could have a back row of Creel, Brink, and Alberts. True. Brink's injury was horrendous. That was terrible timing. If I've picked the Reds, that's the kiss of death. Yes, because after this game, I'll be none from 4, so it probably is the kiss of death. It's definitely going to be the Lions. Oh, Talia's just run rings around Hooper. That's game. It's a double for Mark Talia, and the Waratahs put a fork in them because they are done. Both teams crap. Essentially, yes, but the Blues slightly less. Just space out wide. Hooper's the only guy there, and he just can't keep up. Have I seen Quade Cooper's fake Instagram post? The one where he kicks the car, like the ball to the guy holding coffee? I have seen it. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun. And there goes the margin. Well, at least you got the result. Heck yeah, I made $500. Still time to go, man. Unless you're picking Mark Tilly to score a double, in which you've already won your bet. Reds won't be able to cope with the altitude of Joburg. That's true. But the Lions are just getting back from Argentina, so they got travel factor. What do you think about the South African move to the Six Nations? Inherently, I don't like it because South Africa's in our sphere of rugby. But, I mean, it makes sense in terms of the time zones. I do not like getting up at 2 a.m. to watch games in South Africa. It's a true fact. And there seems to be more economic opportunities there. Well done, Blues. Jasmine, yeah, they needed a result after last week. Tars were done before they walked off in the park. Pack of bums. How much are they charging to go watch this game? Whatever it is, it's too much. Talia's run 107 meters. Not bad. Will a Blues player make my dream team on Monday? Maybe I can sneak one in. They should have paid fans to go to this, but yeah, how much? See me slipping down the Super Rugby standings. Bro, I was like 200 out of 270. I'm only going to be above the people who are no longer picking. That's all I'm going to be at. How did Joe Marchand go? Bro, he scored a try. Played all right. I picked the Blues to win. I have no idea what's happening in this game. I'm Canadian. Nice. Who's your NHL team if you're Canadian? Tell me it's not the Maple Leafs. Oh, here's trouble. It's a hat trick. I think I might have to put him in my dream team. Come on, people. Even in this game, a hat trick's a hat trick. I can't believe there's been 3 drop goals in 2 rounds. I am also very, very surprised about that. Super Rugby not known for its drop goals, but we've had 3. How about them Blues, eh? The Canadians. It's probably worse. Nah, I don't mind the Canadians. Carey Price is a good goaltender, so Shea Weber's got a heck of a slap shot. I think the restructure how nations play. New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga should have their own league. Yeah. The problem is the TV deal. The TV deal. I don't know how good it would be with those countries. Oh, what a miss. Final score, 12 points to 32. Geez, that's a bit of a hiding in the end. 32 points. Bonus point win for the Blues. Can't complain, guys. That was a bit of a rout. I think I'm being harsh on the Blues. I'm just cynical, man. I've had too many years of the Blues. What can I say? Congrats. Good win for the Blues away. Yeah, I should be more complimentary to them. They did the job. Yeah, we'll see. Same as the World Cup final. Next stream. Oh, Charlotte. How's it going? Yes, the Blues have won. Finally. I will be happy. Yes, I'll be happy. The Blues can take a good away win. It's only the Tars, so I'm not getting overexcited yet. They have the Crusaders next week. I had a deal with my dad. We said if the Blues lost to the Waratahs, then we would not go to the Crusaders game. But if they won, we will go. So I will go to the Crusaders game next week. So yes, they'll probably get done next week. But hey, that's what it is. Next stream, I think I'll probably have to look at one of the Super Rugby ones for next week. This will be the last one for the week. Can I blame your negativity, read the Blues, for my Waratahs pick on Super Brew? Sorry, man, I'm a bad influence. What can I say? But yeah, I think I'm not gonna watch any games until the next game, which is a Six Nations game at 5:45. So I'm gonna hit the hay for the moment. Can I do a Patreon vlog from the next Crusaders game? Yes, I will do some footage. I took some at the Chiefs game, but I haven't put it together yet. But I will at some point. So yes, I'll be putting that on Patreon too. Thanks for the reminder, Charlotte. But Blues screwed up my Super Brew. Yeah. Anyway, guys, Blues have got a victory. Finish my beer. Cheers to that. Cheers for the Blues. Bonus point. It's only the Tars. I don't mean to say that in a negative way against the Tars, but if you'd beaten us, I'd be saying it was only the Blues. So we're kind of at that level. But yeah, we'll see how things go. We will see how the we'll see how the next games go. I'll try and avoid some of the results so I can watch at least the highlights of the Unspoiled tomorrow. But yes, another game tomorrow to watch. We'll see how things go. You guys take it easy. Have a good day if you're in daytime. Have a good sleep like me if you're in nighttime. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys again. Thanks for the stream. It definitely was a bit of fun talking about everything under the sun. Not that much about the game because it wasn't the best watch. But yeah, thanks for keeping me company, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers. See you later.